Welcome to the Voice of Thai podcast, a space for stories, insights, and conversations that uplift the profession of teaching and inspire positive change in international schools. For over 40 years, the International Educator has served this community through recruitment resources and a dedication to amplifying the voices of international educators around the world.
I want to welcome Cora Yang and Dalton Flanagan to the Voice of Thai podcast today. Welcome both. How are you doing?
Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Stacy. We're excited to be here. We're in Hong Kong right now.
We are full-time educators.
Yep.
We work at the Chinese International School, Hong
Yep.
Kong. And both of us are lucky enough to work in an educational technology field as well as AI.
Yeah, I work in primary as a learning innovation coach, and Cora works in secondary.
As secondary EdTech coach.
And I've known both of you through technology like Dalton, I think I've met you a long time ago at different things in Hong Kong. How did the typhoon go?
Typhoon was okay. We prepared a little overboard, and then it wasn't as bad as we expected, which is better than under-preparing and having it surprise
True.
you.
Too much bottled water in the house now.
You ready for the next typhoon?
Yeah, that's true.
Ready for a little while.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for taking the time to not only have this conversation, but you were both working on a series for us about artificial intelligence in education. You know, one of the things that we've been talking about at Thai in terms of content around AI is that we're sort of at the point where it's kind of amazing to see how fast technology moves, and it moves from the, well, should we? And what does it mean if we do? And like, what are the possible implications to like, no, this is on our front doorstep. There is no should we, could we, might we. It's like we are, and so it's that shift from trying to process and understand to now saying like, all right, it isn't optional whether we use this, deal with this, manage this in our schools and in our situations. And Cora, it was some of your work that you had been publishing on LinkedIn that we reached out because you've been just putting out really practical guides for people. And we really wanted to move at Thai to like the how-to. So you guys are going to do this series for us. Can you tell us a little bit about this series and what might be some of the things people might be really interested in this series? I know I skipped to the last question first.
Yeah, so I think for us, we're thinking because both of us are educators and we see the struggle, challenge, and also the champion celebrations on daily basis. And so we, both Dalton and myself, truly believe that AI is the moment for us to really look at education, and we try to revolutionize the education, and which we understand that a lot of times the teachers would struggle with AI, especially school has like being educator is such a busy life. So when we were thinking about doing this whole series, we're thinking about giving out more concrete and practical classroom frameworks and tools, and they can be ready to use. And there are quite a few things we think we're going to talk. First is going to be about academic integrity, which caused a huge panic when AI just came. And we do really want to talk about this. It's a sensitive topic, and it has to be handled in a sophisticated way and to remain the trust between teachers and students. And we also think about, because both Dalton and I had great opportunities, we're lucky enough and to support the different communities about their AI roadmap. So we'll talk about the alignment and transparency of that.
Yeah, when Cora and I were starting out as educators, I can talk for myself, but I know Cora and I have both talked about this. When I started out as an educator, I really looked online and looked on Twitter and looked to educators who've been doing it for longer for tips, for like ideas, I remember specifically like character maps and using those in my classroom to support the learning. And I've gained so much from what other more experienced educators shared with me at that moment that Cora and I are hoping to give a little bit of that back. And share, I don't know, our experience and our ideas and our successes, or even share our failures with incorporating AI in the classroom so we can all learn from each other.
Yeah, and because of the other educators, they're so generous. So it really made me feel like I became a better educator because of what they shared in the community. And so we really hope we can do the same way, feedback to the community. And meanwhile, it could be such good opportunities to sparkle more like different ideas. And this is also good learning opportunities for us. And so that's some of the parts that we're going to share. And we're also going to share a bit about AI literacy, how you can implement in the classroom.
It's so interesting that you, Cora, at the beginning said meeting the moment, because as somebody who, obviously was in schools for a really long time, I would tend to consider myself an early adopter, where AI, maybe it's age, I'm not in my 30s anymore, but AI, like I don't necessarily feel like I'm an early adopter the way I had been in different parts of my career, because maybe it's the unknown, maybe it's just so different. So, when you think about that and you're dealing with a lot of different, generations in our schools, like what are some of the mistakes that schools are maybe making when they look at AI, in terms of either their reluctance to engage, or like maybe engaging in not quite the meet the moment opportunity way? What are some of those mistakes that you think maybe schools are making?
I think that when it first came out, I think some schools like sat back, thought maybe it was a fad, thought it was something passing by that they could maybe avoid dealing with head on. And we've definitely seen that with some schools, and then others, and then those schools try to catch up.
We also see some of the educators or schools, they try just to go crazy, go nuts with AI. Let's do it. We're very open-minded. And we probably have witnessed both very extreme ends. But I think what really important is, before we're going to introduce AI into teaching and learning, we're going to take a pause to think about why we're using it here. We have to bring the learning back to the center of the stage. And this is so important because by the end of the day, it's all about students. It's all about learning. And so we think that instead of starting with a tool, we really need to think about starting with learning. And so this is something that we feel a little bit concerned sometimes. However, we've seen that more and more people start to realize that how important it is to think about how to implement AI, instead of are we using it or not, how we're going to use it. Yeah, and researchers show also, like, if you are implementing AI in a more thoughtful way, and so with all of the pedagogical design behind this, it could reach to really good learning outcomes.
Yeah, I
One,
think
sorry,
one thing our
go ahead, sorry.
you can go, Stacy, sorry.
No, I think one of the things that like kind of resonates with me about that is because I'm not in a school. It is about my own productivity. And I'm sure that's a place that a lot of teachers have met it at, is like, what does it do for me? And then how does it help me in my day to day? I know that's definitely true for me in the work that I'm doing, but it's that shift to, and I think about, like, we've got new literacies, like what's the AI literacy piece for students in order to use it effectively, to enhance learning, to amplify learning. It's kind of going back to, remember those they're not old frameworks, but like TPAC, and looking at the pedagogy and the intersection of all of those pieces. Um, I don't know, that's kind of what it has me thinking. Dalton, I want to jump back to you so that you can finish your thought.
Oh, well, I might just build on what you were saying. It often comes from the educators learning how they can use it effectively, safely, and the best, and then that translates into them like modeling that for the students. So I was thinking about the create framework we made for prompting. So we made a prompting framework based on acronym CREATE, thinking about like context, role, examples, and
Can't remember.
If
We
you asked me,
definitely created by
if you asked
ourselves.
me what TPAC meant right now, I'd be like, I don't know what it is. I can just see the three Venn diagrams.
We will include this in one of the articles anyway. Yeah.
Can
Yeah. Okay, hang on. I think it bothers Dalton. I have to figure out.
But I do think that that's one of the reasons why we reached out to you both around this work is those practical strategies, like having a framework by which to think about it. Like those are the things that were, I think, really important to us is how do we put more of that information out there into the hands of teachers. I can see you smiling, so I know you've got the acronym now.
Yeah.
Yes, we got it. Do you want
Tell
it?
us
It
what
was
the company
context, role,
acronym is.
example, audience, task, and evaluate.
Yeah.
And we started off by using it with teachers in our school, and it quickly we transitioned to making a student-friendly version because
Yeah.
the teachers wanted to share that with the students and give them prompting tips. From my own experience when dealing with a LLM-powered chatbot, if I'm not getting the response that I want, it's because I'm not providing enough context. It's not because like the chatbot is failing at the task. It's usually because I'm not giving it the proper context to provide the right output.
Well, I think that's what's really interesting what you just said there. It made me think about user error. And I think that sometimes in AI, when you're thinking about the model or the chatbot, it makes it them that, which is again where we get really odd about humanizing our language around this
It.
technology, right? But it's about the bot, and it's actually usually more user error. And so we want to blame AI for the mistakes, but not it's doing what the context is. It's doing what it has. If there's bad information out there, it's going to give you bad information. And if you're not setting the context and the parameters, then it's user error really more in many of these things. So let me ask you a question because you're in a school, which is one of the things we really loved, that you're creating these things, that you're using them with your teachers and students, like from a secondary perspective, Cora, and then Dalton from a primary perspective. What's some of the kind of the powerful things you're seeing? I know my thumb is popping up. What's some of the powerful things that you're seeing like impact student learning? Like, can you give me some examples of how some of these things that you're creating are kind of transforming a particular lesson or unit, things like that?
One thing that pops up in my head is the year 5 students were writing a story like a hero's journey. And they started off writing like a paragraph description of their setting. And then we took that paragraph description of their setting and we put it into an AI system that could generate like a 360 image of that setting. And then we were able to put on our VR goggles and the students were able to step into that setting and ask themselves, what is my character seeing, hearing, feeling like in that precise moment? And that's something that it would have been hard for me to imagine a few years ago that would be possible. But the students were able to describe their scene, were able to create that 360 image. They could step into that with the VR goggles and really experience what their character is experiencing.
Yeah. And
So it
in
would really
secondary,
be character development and understanding that character even better. Oh, that's really interesting.
so
Cora.
in secondary, if we're IB school, and so of course the DP students have to write TOK and so this articles. And because of AI, last year I heard some of my colleagues describe TOK, the integrity part was a disaster. And so because AI is so accessible information, students start to overuse it for a bit. And so this year, what we're doing, and this is also will be shared within one of the articles, and we create this framework kind of like to maintain the learning agency at the age of the AI. And so asking students what exactly you are learning, like what kind of skills, TOK skills you are learning from like this assignments, you're writing the articles. And after this, we ask the AI to act like thinking partners. They're going back and forth, asking students what your interests are and how you're going to do this and why, how does it connect to 6 TOK topics and things like this. And after that, so when students have a little bit more concrete ideas, and so the AI activity is going to ask the students, so how are you going to use AI? Are you going to use AI just to debate, enhance your thinking, coming up with this idea, that idea? Are you going to decide not to use AI at all? And then students going to do the metacognitive like check, they do the justification talking about why I choose this pathway and how this would help my learning and how would I ensure that the authenticity of my learning, of my work. And after this, so students, after they finish the whole TOK, the whole cycle, and students are going to come back and to review, reflect the whole process. And I found that in the past, like a few years ago, you probably, if you want to do this, you have to have this conduct at least a 30 minutes one-on-one conversation with the students and teachers and exploring ideas, find what they truly interest and how they can support the learning and gain all of these skills listed by IB. But because of AI, so students can follow their own steps, and AI also has extensive knowledge bank there. It can support them and it guides them and also gives students opportunities to choose which pathway they want to do and give them agency, put a choice back to their hands, let them take responsibilities and really let them to decide how they are going to do it, why they are doing it, and to just push their thinking. So I think this was quite a transformative for us. And this year, we really hope this could also maintain the academic integrity by giving back the choices to students.
The putting kids in the driver's seat. So this is my last question. So if you were to, each of you from your roles, say to somebody, if you want to dig into a platform that you think really like models that transformative nature for the educational space, like what would be your number one platform that you would tell people dig into, learn a little bit more about, and think about how you might be able to use it in your classroom?
I think we could both talk about the platform we're using here at the school, but yeah, sometimes it's how you use it, and it's our focus of like I think these tools allow you to really focus on like how you're learning rather than like what you're learning. I think we're going to see that shift. I hope we see that shift. I guess the tool that I would talk about would be Flint. The reason why I mentioned Flint is because they set it up differently for teachers and students. So when you have a paid account at Flint and you're a student and you log in, it's going to be less helpful for you. It's not going to write the 5-paragraph essay. It's not going to it shouldn't do your homework for you, but it should ask questions and point you in the right direction. Whereas if you're a teacher and you log in, it knows your role and it will be a little bit more helpful and it will, yeah, do some of the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, and also considering different subjects and how flexible it could be, Flink also does the in-house calculation as well. But however, Dalton and I try to move away from specific platform, like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. It's not about what platform you're using, it's about how you're using it. But one thing we're trying to be very careful is about the data safety, ethical considerations. A lot of our learners, they're under 13, and if you check a lot of privacy policy terms of use, a lot of platforms actually requires users to be 13 plus or 16 plus. And we truly believe that they set up this kind of the guideline or strict for a reason, and we don't want to break this because regardless what kind of platforms, we want to show students how to use technology, nuanced technology, even something beyond the AI in the future in a responsible, ethical way. So we do think that's quite important. And that's why when we are sharing our resources, we try to be like platform anonymous. And so regardless which one you're going to do, it's about how you use it, how you can use it in an effective way. So we also create like a checklist, prompt checklist, like Dalton just mentioned, as well as there is a guidance we created called the framework of how you choose student interface platforms. And which, regardless which platform, you go through all this different checklist, and eventually you will find the answer, which one would suit your context best.
Well, we're so excited at TIE to be able to engage with you both on this series and your expertise and really get your content out there, right? So that people can also have some resources, because I think probably, a lot of people are in schools and they may not have positions like yours with people like you able to help sort of navigate the way and guide people through it. A lot of people are sort of on their own in figuring this out, and that's why we're just thrilled to have you both, and we're really looking forward to your series.
Thank you so much, Stacy, for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy.
All right, thanks. We'll can't wait to see you and hear from you more.
Thank you for joining the Voice of Thai podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and our newsletter so you don't miss out on all of the stories and resources from the international schools community. Check out the show notes for links and more information for this episode. You can also find us online at www.thaimonline.com and in all of your favorite social media places.